Back to the chat room. I'm Rich Simpson, your host, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about that, but I appreciate you watching the show anyway. And our guest is an EMT Intermediate. I'm going to let her explain what that is in just a moment. And she works with DeKalb Tech in their EMT program, but she works in her own right as an EMT Intermediate. Laverne, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's good to have you on the chat room.
Good to be here.
And first, tell us what is an EMT Intermediate?
An EMT Intermediate is an emergency medical technician that's trained at a bit of a higher level than a basic intermediate. The basic intermediate can do all the basic life support procedures. An intermediate comes into play is where we're allowed to do advanced airways. We're allowed to give certain medications, and that's what differentiates the basic from the intermediate.
An EMT, just that definition, tell our folks that don't know what that is.
Well, the EMT is the one when you call 911. Typically, you'll get, when they dispatch the call, a medical call. An EMT would be the one that would respond. We usually respond with the fire department or a separate unit depending on what your locality offers, and we're the one that provides the basic life support. We do CPR, just a lot of medical first aid for just basic injuries and illness.
Now, would it be safe to say that EMT Intermediate is in between being a regular EMT, basic EMT, and paramedic?
Correct. That's exactly the difference.
Now, what can't you do that a paramedic does?
There's a different level of advanced airway that we cannot do as an intermediate, and then there are certain medications that we cannot give. We can't push narcotic drugs, pain relievers, cardiac drugs. We're not allowed to do EKG rhythms, and things of that advanced nature. That's paramedic.
That's paramedic.
That's
okay.
Paramedic, yes.
Now, the program that you're involved with at DeKalb Tech, I know they have a great program. What does that involve?
Well, what we do is we run an academy-style program where we're training civilians to become EMTs and EMT intermediates. Mm-hmm. We bring them in. They start off with their basics. They learn their CPR, and then they go through a full didactic program that's governed by DOT standards, and they go under the National Registry training program. It teaches them everything, all the basic life support procedures, and then after they finish the program, they're eligible to sit for the National Registry exam and to obtain a Georgia State license as an EMT Intermediate.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now let's say that I or anybody out there watching wanted to be enrolled in the program. What does one need to do?
Well, you would contact the school, and you would go through the normal admissions process. You would fill out your application. You would have to take the school entrance exam, your Compass testing, and that Compass testing involves your basic math and reading, comprehensive skills. And as long as you successfully pass that, you would come meet the director of the department and discuss your plans on being an EMT. Mm-hmm. We'll ask that you at least have your either your high school diploma or your GED, and then take the Georgia Work Ready exam.
Okay.
And then you'll receive an orientation letter, and then come to the meet and greet that we have, and then we'll welcome you to the program, kind of go over the specifics of the program.
All right, when does the next program start, and how long is the coursework?
We have two types of courses. Our next program is scheduled to start in January, and that program is our accelerated program. It's 2 quarters long, and it goes 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, so it's like having a full-time job. And that particular program is geared toward the unemployed person, the person that's not currently working, because it is an 8 to 5, so it's a full day. Just you're putting in a full day of schoolwork, just as if you would on a job. Mm-hmm. And so it's accelerated. It's a lot faster than the night program, which is a year long. This one's only half. It's a little less than half year.
All right, somebody getting out of the program, what kind of job can they get? Where can they find that job? Is there a placement service, things like that?
Once you complete the program, we completely prepare you for everything. We even schedule your National Registry testing. So once you take your final exams, get your final grades, and you graduate the program, we then set up your National Registry testing. There's 2 sets of testing. There's the practical skill testing, where you have to show the examiners that you meet the qualifications and you fully understand and can actually perform the skills necessary as an EMT. And you take that exam. Once you pass that exam, you then qualify to sit for the written exam, which is the National Registry written exam.
Okay.
And then once you pass that, you'll receive your National Registry license.
All right, I'm gonna cut you off right there. I hate to do that, but we up against the clock there. Laverne Hardwick, our guest, and we'll be back with the chat. We're back with the second segment with Laverne Hardwick, who's an EMT Intermediate, and also she works with the EMT program at DeKalb Tech here in Covington. So if you're interested in being an EMT, please contact DeKalb Tech. They'll get you all set up. Next program starts in January. January. Okay. Before I forget, you had a Black Hawk helicopter recently land at the campus.
Yes.
Tell us about what that was all about.
Well, one of our students enrolled in the program, he actually is in the National Guard, and he's been deployed. He got called up for active duty. And he arranged through the instructor and through the school to have one of their medevacs come over to the school so the students would have an opportunity to see another aspect of the EMT field or the medic field in action, live in action, the military aspect of it. Mm-hmm. And, it's not often that civilians get to actually get inside of a Black Hawk helicopter and see how they work. So they brought the helicopter and they landed on the grassy area outside the front of the C building on the campus. And the students were allowed to get into the medevac to see where they would actually transport patients and find out different things about it. Like they don't only transport military, they also transport civilians, enemy, and as well as friendly. They let the children get on, put on the helmets with the speakers, and the students brought their families and friends up there, and so we all had a good time just watching and just looking at this amazing piece of machinery. It's unlike the four-wheeled ambulances that we ride in the street. It's completely different.
Yeah, I remember back when the Braves first started their big run back in 91, 92, along in there, and we're winning the National League every year. There was some situation where Terry Pendleton had to get in a helicopter, or either was asked to get in a helicopter. He was a player then, and something about getting him from one place to the other. And I just remember he was not very keen on getting up there in that helicopter, which I wouldn't be either. So he had a good experience with the Black Hawk.
Yeah, it was a very good experience.
Now, one question I left out from the first segment: what kind of money can someone expect to make once they get through the EMT program?
Well, once you get through and you graduate successfully, starting out, just going out into the field, you can start to begin your career making about $13 to $13.50 an hour, and it ranges depending on who you work for and where you work. And that would be about between $26,500 and $30,000 a year to start. Mm-hmm. And of course, we always encourage further education because you never want to stop just at the beginning, because that's just scratching the surface of what this field has to offer. So you can climb the ladder, the EM or the medical field corporate ladder of what I call it, and you can make much more than that, depending on how hard you want to work and how far you're willing to go.
Right. Now, what type of license, exam is needed, and all that, license and exam to do that?
You take your National Registry exam, written and practical, and then once you do that, the state of Georgia, and you successfully complete that, and with your background check, the state of Georgia will grant you your license.
Okay, now, what type of need does the industry have now for these people graduating from the course?
Well, as the Georgia infrastructure grows, there are going to be more accidents. There are going to be more people that need medical attention. And the field is growing as the population grows, as the infrastructure grows, as we get more people migrating to Georgia, people moving out to different areas. You're going to need more medical professionals. You need someone to transport you to the hospital. Oftentimes, it's just a basic call where they just need basic medical attention, and you don't have to transport them to the hospital. But that's where there's such a need right there, because you have the opportunity just about in every area there's a need for some sort of medical training. And so the field is growing faster than we can put students out there to actually work the job. So there's more hours available right now than there are people to work them.
I know Newton Federal Federal doesn't have a thing to do with this, folks. Newton General has about 50 EMTs working there, different shifts and everything. Mm-hmm. We need to wrap up, believe it or not. Time goes fast. Again, tell us about when the next course starts and what they need to do to get involved. We've got about 30 seconds.
The next course starts January of 2011, and what you would need to do is go ahead and apply to the school and complete your registration process and your financial aid. And with that, you would then contact the department, speak directly to either Rebecca Tyler or Thomas Camplain, and they'll give you all the information about getting into the program. You do have to have your GED, and just come over and give us a call. Just call us or come over and meet with one of us over there, and we can tell you everything about what's going on at the school and the grant that we've just been awarded for the EMT program. And that'll assist you. We'll be able to see if we can assist you financially in getting your books and all that taken care of, and see if if you really want to do it, we can make it happen for you.
Laverne,
Definitely
thank you
happen.
so much for being on.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.
This is the chat room. We shall return.